All right, we'll get this show on the road. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for our very first virtual town hall. We're really excited about this series. You guys have probably noticed that there's been a few different initiatives that we've kicked off at Western Flyer Express, all to increase and improve our communication, and not just communication in OKC or at one of our terminals, not just between employees, not just to or from our drivers and contractors, but really what we're trying to do with this town hall series is bring everybody together. Everyone should notice that, except for John and I, cameras and mics will be off, for this series. But really, it's a chance for everybody to come together, learn about different topics, and we're going to have a new speaker and a new topic every 2 to 3 weeks for this series. So, John, thanks so much for being our guinea pig. He's going to be touching on communication and teamwork today with our first virtual town hall. So, without further ado, John, I'll kick it off over to you.
All right, Michael, thank you. And thank you for making me the guinea pig. I'm honored. And good morning, Western Flyer. So I was trying to think what's the best way to communicate, using the right word, communication, or communicate my message to the folks on the town hall. My thoughts on how important good communication and teamwork are. And there are a couple different versions I went through, but what I landed on was I meet with all new drivers and contractors every single week in orientation, and I cover a bunch of topics with them. I'm the last presenter. Randy Timms, our owner and CEO, typically joins as well, which is a pretty awesome experience for everybody in there. So what I thought I'd do today is just kind of walk through 2 or 3 of the topics that I cover in orientation that I think are most relevant to this conversation and in regards to communication and teamwork. But before I do that, I want to start by reading an email by a contractor that we received. Anthony Dickerson, truck 8622L, sent us an email a couple weeks ago complimenting his fleet manager. And all I'm going to do right now is I'm going to read the email, and then I'm going to come back to it a little bit later and talk about a few things that stand out to me in that email that is applicable to this conversation. So one of the first things I always cover with the drivers and contractors in orientation is what I refer to as the definition of a team. And I make the statement to the contractors, and I always say, drivers and contractors, you folks are not successful doing what you're doing without the support of the office staff and all the techs, maintenance, etc. Fair statement. And I always get the same answer. That's accurate. And then I say, and the folks in the office and the shop and maintenance, etc., they wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for our drivers and our contractors. Fair statement? They all shake their heads, yes. To me, that is the definition of a team. We're in this thing together. And the only way we're going to be successful is if we do it as a team. As I talk through this stuff today, there's going to be a common denominator in all of it. Obviously, teamwork, I'm leading off with that. But everything I talk about, communication is the common denominator. So then what I do, I talk about what makes us different. So a lot of trucking companies today, the men and women that are in leadership roles or lead these companies, in many cases, most of them haven't been in trucking. And in almost every case, most of them have never driven a truck. And that's okay. But those are the people leading companies today. What makes us different is the fact that our owner and our CEO drives a truck, still hauls freight for us. To me, that differentiates us from our competition like no other. But what it also does is it fosters this environment at Western Flyer where everything we do, we view it through the lens of a driver. We understand how important the driver's role is. We understand what it is in each of our roles that we need to do to support the drivers. So whether you're a fleet manager, whether you're a load planner, whether you're an account manager, understanding what it is I do and how it impacts the driver is critical. And that's what makes us different. And quite honestly, that's what makes us better than every company out there. What it also does, it makes us realize that all the decisions that we make, again, regardless of what role we're in, fleet manager, planner, account manager, or any other role within the organization, it makes us understand and see that all the decisions we make, whether good or bad, we know that they trickle down to the driver. I was looking up earlier, there's all kinds of definitions out there for what makes good communication. It's being clear, it's being complete, concise, compassionate, watching your tone, and that's all that's all correct. But the one thing for me that I think is probably the most important component of communication, and that's active listening. So as we're going through these things that I'm talking about that I communicate to the drivers and contractors in orientation, to me, the most important thing is that everybody understands we have to stop and listen. We have to understand what it is that we need, what the answers are we need, what it is that, for example, if a driver calls, what's he looking for? What's he missing? If we don't listen, we can't help, okay?
Hey, John, really quickly on that, I also think a good point, and this is something you and I kind of touched on in preparation for this episode, is that, when you're delivering a message, whether that be, a driver or contractor, to their fleet manager or vice versa, I think it's important to try to really make sure that you articulate what the issue really is and or what the problem is or what your concern is in as concise a manner as possible, right? Because usually when problems or I don't want to say altercations, but when problems or concerns come up, it's almost like once you get started, you say, oh yeah, and this is a problem. Oh, and this, and what about this, right? But really, if you try to think to yourself, okay, what is the actual problem or concern that I'm trying to communicate? And what do I feel like I need from, the other person on the other end of the line? I think that can really help our communications as well.
I agree 100%. Absolutely. And that's a perfect segue into the next point that I wanted to make. And again, this is something that I share in orientation, but as drivers and contractors out on the road, you got a lot of time to think, and you got a lot of time to let, unfortunately, small problems turn into big problems, right? And kind of going back to this whole concept of teamwork and proactive communication, we're here to help, right? We're here to help mitigate letting those small problems turn into big problems, and that's literally picking up the phone and calling, or sending a message, an email, a Qualcomm. And it's our responsibility to make sure that we're being responsive to that. I'm going to go back to everything's through the lens of the driver, active listening, understanding what our roles are. What do we do? What do I do to make sure that you as a driver are successful? So, it's funny because I'm going back to the beginning of my career. And I'm going to age myself a little bit here, but I started in 1994, and I was at a relatively large company. But when I started, I noticed right when I walked in, all the cubicles throughout the organization had a sign in it, and it said, "Communication is the driving force." And as a young 21-year-old or whatever it was at the time, I'm thinking, boy, that's kind of corny. They got those in all the different cubicles. But as I look back at my career and what we're actually talking about right now, boy, they had it figured out. Communication is the driving force. Without communication, there's no teamwork. And without teamwork, we're not going to be successful. Without teamwork, our drivers and contractors aren't going to win. Without teamwork and good communication, our office staff and our maintenance staff isn't going to be successful and win. At the end of the day, the organization's not. So that was one of those things that, boy, looking back at it, they sure had it figured out. I want to go back to that email that I was referring to. I'm going to read it. Again, it's from Anthony Dickerson, truck 8622L. I just want to take a moment and recognize Casey Warren on the town meeting for her hard work and patience. Casey should be Fleet Manager of the Month, if not the year. She tirelessly works to make sure I get my miles, and I'm sure she does this for all of her drivers. Her professionalism and her dedication to her drivers is second to none. First off, it's pretty refreshing to get emails like this from our drivers and contractors. Again, this business is tough. Trucking's not easy, but it's nice to be able to see people appreciate what it is we do in here as much as we appreciate our drivers. But when we talk about communication and we talk about teamwork, there's a few words in this email that kind of stood out to me that what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of validated that's what it's all about. The first one, 2 words, hard work. Casey's hard work. Patience. I think patience is a very important ingredient in communication. Couple others that stood out to me: professionalism. Let's all treat people right. And then her dedication. So I just thought this email was perfect to share with this group today as we're talking about communication and teamwork. And it's refreshing to see. And I also want to recognize Casey, just like Anthony did, for all her hard work, and it's very much appreciated, as is everybody else's hard work. So that's pretty much, Michael, what I had to cover today, unless there's anything else you want to add to it or any other questions for me.
No, I think that was great, John. And actually, that's a really good segue into our Q&A session. So, you brought up this email. That email was actually sent to the email address townhall@drivewfx.com. That's the way that if anybody has any feedback for us, any questions for future episodes or anything like that, everybody can email us at that email address. And, just using this in this presentation, John, not only is it a strong message, and obviously kudos to Casey Warren, but, I want to impress upon everybody that you matter and your messages matter, right? I mean, we get hundreds of thousands of emails a day, right? But, I can tell you that, I, along with Kirsty, manage, the Town Hall series and the Town Hall inbox, and anything that you all send in there will be seen, will be shared with the appropriate people. And, be a little patient, depending on the volume, but you will get a response as well. And as a part of this series moving forward, we want to have a Q&A session as a part of these for everybody's opportunity to provide relevant questions to the topic, and for the presenter, John in this case, to be able to answer those. So, John, if you'd like, let's go ahead and switch over to our Q&A session real quick.
Okay. All right. The first question that was sent in, there's 3 of them here. The first one that was sent in says, I'm curious if the company is looking into getting a new e-log system and replacing Qualcomm. We have been looking into multiple different technologies over the last year or so. We've actually had a couple of them that we were testing in some of our trucks. Short answer is, at some point, yes, we will be making a transition. But before we do, we want to make sure it's the most cost effective. We want to make sure it's the most efficient and effective system for our drivers and contractors, so that it's easy to use. And we want to do it the right way. We don't want to rush into anything. But yes, we are looking at it. Um,
John, we
second,
also have, sorry to interrupt you, we have slides for folks that can read those questions as well. Will you jump over to slide 10 for me if you're still able?
there it is. Okay.
Yep, that was one.
There it is. See, I'm the guinea pig. Remember that.
No worries.
All right. Question 2, I drive at night. I likely won't be able to attend the town hall where there'll be a recording. William Potter, WFX contractor. Yes, I believe this is being recorded. Is that correct, Michael? And it's going to be accessible to everybody that was on it?
Yep, that's exactly right. So this whole session has been recorded. We will review it, make sure that the recording doesn't have any, unnecessary, white noise in the beginning and afterwards or anything like that. But we will go ahead and share a link for everybody to be able to watch this as well. We just kindly ask that you keep it within the WFX team, right? We're not looking to post these sessions on social media in their entirety. So please, when you get the recording, just go ahead and keep that private to yourself. But in the future as well, if you ever have to miss a live session, please know that it will be recorded and shared, and make sure you spread the word that everybody will have access. Okay.
Okay. And I believe this is the last question that we received, and this is anonymous, WFX driver. Question is, I have heard that the company deliberately gets in the way of contractors earning good money when they're getting close to paying off their truck. I would like a straight answer. Is this true? Straight answer is that is a false statement. There is no reason for us to get in the way of anybody getting close to owning their truck in the lease purchase program. In fact, we celebrate contractors owning these trucks. We make a pretty big deal of it relative to marketing and presenting them the title. And in fact, we meet on a weekly basis to talk through who's getting close and how many have gotten it. So far this year, I believe the number is 12 contractors have received the title to their trucks. And we have another 6 over the next 30 days that are going to be receiving the titles to their trucks. Something we're pretty proud of. So no, we are not getting in the way of anybody earning good money when it's getting close to owning their trucks.
John, I'll chime in on this. So I've been, in trucking about 8 years now. So still relatively green in comparison to some. But these are kind of interesting conspiracy theories, right? To me, the relationship between the company and our contractors, or the company and our company drivers, is a mutually beneficial relationship. If our drivers and our contractors and our employees are successful, then the company is successful. The company is not successful if drivers and contractors and employees are not successful. That's very, very simple. So it does not do us as a business any good to get in the way of anybody earning as much as they possibly can. And of course, just like every company and just like every person, we're not perfect, but man, do we strive to be in every way that we can. So yeah, I just wanted to chime in on that one, John.
Hey, I want to add something to that. So every now and then in orientation, a similar question is posed. I've heard that load planners have it out for drivers or contractors. They don't want them to make money, or we hear that, the fleet manager doesn't want us to make money. And to Michael's point, that's not the case at all, because if it were, we wouldn't be in business. Our objective here, and I said it a little bit earlier, is for everybody to win. If you're not on the road generating miles and generating revenue, the organization's not making money, right? So we have no reason whatsoever, nobody in any seat in this organization has no reason whatsoever to try to hold back on miles or anybody making good money. That'd be a really bad business model, and that's not who we are. We want to run as many miles as we can. We want you all to win and be successful, and that's our objective here. So anyway.
Good stuff, John. Well, yeah, that wraps up our Q&A. Again, for future episodes, please feel free to chime in and send any questions to townhall@drivewfx.com. Be sure that those are already looked at. And, what we're going to try to do is have, the questions presented on here relevant to the topic that we're going to be talking about, right? So be on the lookout in the future for more information on future episodes. Again, we'll have different speakers every time, as well as different topics. Some of it will be operation specific. Some of it will be, more culture. Some of it will be specific training. So, we're really excited about that. And John, again, thank you so much for being our guinea pig on this session. I really appreciate it. And hopefully, this went well for everybody and everyone enjoyed it. And we look forward to more in the future. John, on the topic real quick, you have anything else related to communication or this topic or anything you want to share with the audience of about 100 that we have?
I could go on for probably another hour, but time is important. Here's how I want to end it. Michael, thank you and your team for putting this together. Thank you for allowing me to be the guinea pig. What I've learned from this is I may jump in and be a guest speaker or a guest host in some of the future episodes. So I really enjoy this and looking forward to more of them. And I just want to tell everybody that's listening in, man, we really, really appreciate what you do. We understand that it's this trucking thing is hard, but we got a really good group of drivers and contractors and office staff that I think a lot of carriers out there would kill to have. And you're very much appreciated. And I want you to have a phenomenal Friday and a phenomenal weekend. And thanks for all you do.
Thanks, John. And real quick for everybody, the next episode will be the importance of exceptional customer service. Without a doubt, that will be a topic that is relevant to everybody. So we're excited to have that episode come in. So as you think about that, think about your role in the company and, things that are either maybe in your way from, ensuring that we provide exceptional service or ways that you found that we can provide exceptional service. So, please be thinking about that topic. Again, we'll have more information as we progress on how these work and when the dates are for folks to join. And yeah, like John said, happy Friday and everybody be safe.